Hello, everybody. Welcome to Captain Dorja's Armory. This is Captain Dorja. We are going to be looking at some Tier 7 tank destroyer battles today. We're going to be looking at two battles in two separate Tier 7 tank destroyers. We're going to look at an SU-122-44 battle, and we're going to look at a Jagdpanther battle. And I'm going to come out and say it right now. These are the games where I got my mastery badges. I played them back to back on the same night, so it made me feel pretty good. So we're going to take a quick look at each of these vehicles in the garage, and then we're going to get into action, because I really like both of these tanks. Now, I've only had the 122-44 for 10 battles, and I got my mastery badge in on about my 6th or 7th battle, but still, I really like the tank, and I really like the Jagdpanther as well. I think the Jagdpanther is my favorite Tier 7 TD, and if we look at my garage with my TDs in it, I've got quite a few Tier 7s. Here's one, here's one, here's one. Here's 1, 2. So, yeah, Tier 7 TDs are, in my opinion, a pretty good spot in the TD line. And I really considered keeping the French one as well, which would have given me another good Tier 7 TD, but I decided to sell it. I don't think it really plays that much different than the Jagdpanther, the 25 AT, or the 122-44. So I decided not to keep it. I don't need 4 of the same tank. Anyway, let's move on. Quick look at each of the tanks. Jagdpanther, great vehicle, love it. It's got 850 health, which is pretty standard. 700 horsepower engine, which gives you enough get up and go to really move around the battlefield. It doesn't appear that the Jagdpanther is that, it's nothing special in the agility department, but it definitely moves really good. It's not an ELC AMX, but this thing shifts around the battlefield, and that's a really big asset, and I really like it. I've always loved the Jagdpanther, and the mobility of it is part of why. I just feel like it moves very, very well. It's got a top speed of 55 kilometers per hour and a traverse speed of 32 degrees per second, which is pretty respectable. Armor on the tank is alright. It's kind of what you expect on a Tier 7 TD. 80 millimeters at the front, and you can see that it's pretty well sloped. 50 on the sides, 40 on the rear. So basically, try not to get shot at all. Definitely try not to get shot in the back or sides. High note of the armor on this tank, the mantlet is incredibly strong. I have bounced off the mantlet with Object 704s, Jagd Tigers, M103, IS-8, friggin' every gun in the game basically will bounce off that mantlet. It is strong. So don't shoot Jagdpanthers in the mantlet. If you have to shoot at a Jagdpanther frontally, aim low. If they're kind of hull down, like if they're only showing like from here up, aim here or here. Aim distinctly off to one side or the other. I've gotten in the habit when I have to aim at the casement of a tank destroyer, I aim at this part. It doesn't matter which one it is, I aim at this part, because tank destroyer guns with casements tend to be offset so that if you're looking at them front on, the gun tends to be more to the left, which is so that the crew can service the gun more easily inside. But what that means is the gun mantlet tends to be on the left, and the mantlet is usually the only part of a TD where you're ever going to bounce. So when I have to aim frontally at a tank destroyer that's sort of hull down, I always aim at the right side to get lower chance of hitting the mantlet. That especially goes to anything Russian, and I've really noticed that the T-25 AT mantlet really eats shots. So I always aim, from my point of view, at the right side of the casement face. Anyway, moving right along. This tank has 370 meter view range, which is pretty good, and 710 meter signal range, so you basically never have to worry about losing radio contact. The view range is also really nice. It's got really long view range, which is definitely good. Tank has a standard 5-man crew, and for crew skills on this tank, I would definitely go with Sixth Sense as a first skill for the commander, and then Camouflage. First skill for everybody else, I would do Camo, except maybe, like you can see here on my driver, I've opted for Clutch Braking. My number 2 skill on my driver is going to be Camo, but number 1 or number 2, Clutch Braking is definitely a good idea. Gunner, do whatever you want after that. something like repair would probably be good for when you get your tracks blown off. But anyway, we're not going to take a real in-depth look at that kind of thing. Modules on this tank, I definitely go with a gun rammer, binos, and camouflage net. The Jagdpanther is pretty stealthy and it has good view range, so even though I tend to be a fairly aggressive tank destroyer driver, it doesn't hurt to improve my view range and my camouflage. So I opt for the standard TD equipment setup on the Jagdpanther. And I think it works pretty well. Now we're going to take a quick look at the Jagdpanther's guns, because it gets two that are pretty good, and depending on who you are, you might favor one over the other. This is the gun that I have fitted. This is the top gun on the tank, the 105mm PAC L52. I like this gun better than the 88, but that is completely up to you. So, the 105mm features a 7.32 round per minute rate of fire, 200 penetration, 320 damage per shot, 0.34 accuracy, and a 1.7 second aiming time. Which is really odd that it has a faster aiming time than the 88, but I'm not going to complain. The 88mm gun features a 9.84 round per minute rate of fire, 203 penetration, 240 damage per hit, 0.32 accuracy, and a 2.3 second aiming time. So what we can see here is if you use the 88, you have a lot more accuracy, actually not that much more, but you have more accuracy, you have a teensy bit more penetration, and you have higher rate of fire. And I think you have overall higher damage per minute, but you have less alpha damage and you have to stay exposed longer to fire. And with the hardly any difference in rate of fire, I mean, yeah, it's 2.5 rounds per minute, but that's not really that big of a difference. I would prefer to have the alpha damage over the rate of fire, and since they have the same penetration for all intents and purposes, I really don't feel like I'm sacrificing much more than 0.02 accuracy, which is a sacrifice I can live with, and a little bit of rate of fire in order to get a lot more alpha. And I think the alpha is definitely worth having, especially because you can fight tier 9s with this thing, and they just have so much health that a lot of the time, in my opinion, it's better to put one big hit into them than two small ones. So those are your gun choices. I go with the 105. You may want to go with the 88 if you so choose. Another option with the 88 is shells on the 88 cost about 250 credits, and on the 105 they cost about 1,000. So you make a lot more money with the 88. Now, that's enough with the Jagdpanther. Let's look at the 122-44. Now, this is a tier 7, and it's a premium tank, and I've been told that it does not receive premium matchmaking, but I also don't know if I've ever gotten it into a tier 9 battle, so it might get premium matchmaking, and I would expect it to get premium matchmaking, since it only has 175mm penetration gun, but there are tier 8 premiums with 175 penetration, and they have to fight tier 9s, so Wargaming may have, not given this thing premium matchmaking, but honestly, I don't know. Now, let's take a quick look at the vehicle. 840 health, basically the same as the Jagdpanther. 500 horsepower engine, but it's a substantially lighter. Not as high of a speed limit at 47.5, but this tank is definitely fast and agile. It moves around the battlefield, as it should. It's based on the hull of a T-44 medium tank. It's got a good traverse speed, 42 degrees per second, which is better than the Jagdpanther, and it's got good armor. 90mm at the front, sloped at a very steep angle, 75 at the side, 45 at the rear, and then your main rear armor, of course, the Soviet log. Basically, again, don't get shot in the sides or rear. If you get shot in the front with this tank and you can angle, especially if you're at medium to long range, you can bounce quite a bit of shots with this thing, but don't rely on it. It's completely troll. It's a dice roll. If you want it to bounce, surely it'll pen. If you don't really care, it'll probably bounce. Again, with the mantlet on this tank is pretty strong, so, don't shoot at it. One thing to watch out for is if one of these suckers is on a slope above you and you're firing up at him, it can be pretty hard to pen because of the slope of this front armor, and the lower plate is really small, so in that situation you're probably not going to be able to see his lower plate. So you do have to aim with care at these tanks at times, but generally the best option is to just blow their track off and then shoot them in the side, or just, shoot them in the side. And if you have to go frontally, if you've got enough raw pen, just blow through the front armor. I mean, it's pretty good, but it's not great. Anyway, moving right along. This tank gets the ubiquitous 122mm D25S which is the tank destroyer version of the gun of the IS. This gun, if you play a lot of Russian tanks, you will be intimately familiar with, as you use it on basically everything ever. Quick look at the tech tree. That 122mm gun, in some variant or another, you can put it on this tank, 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 and maybe even this tank. So you're going to be pretty daggone familiar with that 122mm by now. So, but we will take a quick look at the stats on it. As per usual, 175 pen, 390 damage per shot. The accuracy is not very good, .41, but .41 is a hell of a lot better than .46, which is the accuracy of this gun on the IS-6 and the IS. So .41 isn't very good, but if you look at it compared to the other tanks that can mount this gun, that thing's practically a laser beam. 2.9 second aiming time. Again, that's pretty slow aiming time in general, but considering this gun usually has a 3.4 second aiming time, this thing is practically a snapshot machine. Now, 7-point round per minute rate of fire is really fast, and it's the main strength of this gun. It fires quick. Tongue-tied. It hits hard, it fires quick. So yeah, you get this thing up against a tier 6, you're going to wreck them. You're going to two-shot them, and you're going to do it fast. Maybe you'll three-hit them, but it's, it's close enough. Equipment, same thing. I've got gun rammer, binos, and a camo net. Same reasons as on the Jagdpanther. I do play this tank pretty aggressively, but there are plenty of times when I want to just sit in a bush and kind of cloak up. So binos and camo net, definitely worth it. Now, one thing that's different with the Jagdpanther is the Jagdpanther has good view range, so I put binos on it so that it can have really good view range. This tank has bad view range, 330 meters. That's bad. So I put binos on it so it can have enough view range. Now, 700 meter signal range, again, we can see everything with this tank. So yeah, this tank's fast, this tank's agile, and it's got a high rate of fire, high damage, medium penetration gun. But it definitely gets the job done. Now this is my crew for my SU-101, so it's not a dedicated crew for this tank. But again, we're doing all camouflage on this crew. When they get to 100, we're going to put 6 cents on the commander and start camo again. And we're probably going to put repairs on the other guys, because when I get to the tier 10 one, I'm going to want repairs, because the tier 10 that comes after this tank can take a lot of damage frontally, and it's going to get detracked a lot. So I want repairs on it. Anyway, I think we've really spent enough time in the garage looking at these two tanks. Let's get them into battle, and let's watch some mastery badges. Alright, so we are in our first battle, driving the Jagdpanther, and we are platooned up with Blackjack Pershing, who is in his T-25/2, Tier 7 American tank destroyer. Not a very good tank destroyer, the T-25-2, but happy to say that Blackjack has managed to get himself a T-28 prototype. So yeah, T-28 prototype is a much more capable vehicle. Now, we are on Parkorovka Encounter, and this battle is all Tier 7 except for one VK-2801 on the enemy team, who is the only non-Tier 7 in the match. So, I am a firm believer in winning encounter battles by surrounding the enemy team at the cap. So that almost always means going the direction away from the capture circle. So that is what myself and Blackjack are doing. And we're not alone. We've got a Tiger 1 and a T-29 with us. So that's not too bad. We don't have, the world's strongest force or anything, but you can't overlook our firepower, so that's good. And with a Jagdpanther and a T-25-2, we're fairly cloaky over here in all these bushes. And the T-29 and myself pack pretty powerful 105mm guns, and the Tiger packs a pretty powerful 88mm gun, and Blackjack packs a 90mm gun that in a match like this isn't too bad, but normally not the strongest gun out there. So, we can see the enemy AMX M4, We take a shot at him, and unfortunately we miss, because that would have been a great hit on that guy. But it doesn't matter, our teammates dispatch him with much haste. So we can see another friendly T-29 has gone into the middle of the field to work the ridgeline, and that is nice. The T-29 is a good tank for that ridgeline because he's got a strong turret and a lot of gun depression, but he also was not a very skilled player, apparently, because he's managed to get himself killed very, very quickly. I would say within about 10 seconds of enemy contact, he died. So he didn't play his cards right over there, and he's now dead. But we still have our friendly force. Myself and Blackjack have moved up in support of our T-29, and we still have our Tiger back there providing sniper fire. So we put a shot into the enemy IS as he crests. Blackjack puts a shot into him as well, and it looks like probably the T-29 put a third hit into him. So that IS has lost about 1,000 health, and he's taking cover. But it doesn't matter. Our Tiger killer is able, or Tiger driven by killer, puts a hit into him, and he goes down. Now we've spotted the enemy Black Prince, and T-29 puts a hit into him. I get a hit, but I don't pen. A Black Prince at this range and the position he's in is going to be pretty tough to damage. With his turret front is pretty strong, and with his hull down like that, unable to shoot into the side, it's going to be a tough nut to crack that Black Prince. So we'll have to worry about that later. Meanwhile, you can see the enemy 2801 dorking around doing his scout thing. I thought about shooting at him, but this Tiger was a much more easy target. So myself and Blackjack, as well as our T-29, start engaging the Tiger. I decided to take a shot at the Black Prince, and am rewarded with 293 damage hit, which is pretty good. Again, looking for shots at the 2801. I put a hit into him, but I don't do any damage. Hopefully I critted that guy in a brutal manner, like broke his engine or something. You can see I'm firing at the Black Prince's turret. I'm actually aiming at the little flat strip that surrounds the mantlet, but while I can hit at this range, that's too small of a target for a gun with .34 accuracy. So we're going to have to focus on just shooting for the hull. We managed to pen again. We get a horribly low damage roll of 240. With this 105mm gun, the Jagdpanther does an average of 320 damage per hit. So a 240 damage roll is basically about as bad as they come. Now at this point, our T-29 and our Tiger are attacking. So me and Blackjack are going to move up in support, spot the Tiger, but I rush the shot and I do not aim very well at all. In fact, I actually end up aiming at the ground, and I hit the ground. But I'm able to reload quickly and put a second shot at the enemy Tiger, and we kill him. Now at this point you can see the battle is virtually won. Our team is winning 9-2. The enemy is now trying a futile attempt at fast capping, which you basically can't do in an encounter, especially not with a situation like this. So the only thing that remains for our team to do is close the jaws of the envelopment and finish these guys off. We put a big hit into the KV-3. He puts a big hit back into us. But I've got the faster reload, so I stick around, put a second shot into him. Blackjack puts a shot into him, and I'm now successfully pulled back. KV-3's attention is diverted elsewhere by another friendly team member attacking him, and we are unable to get the kill on the KV-3, but our team knocks him out. So the enemy's down to just 3 guys. The battle is hopelessly lost. They can fight on, but it'll do them no good. You can see the side of the IS-2. We put a shot into it from long range and knock him out. You can see Blackjack hitting the Panther. The Jagdpanther, rather. We try to hit the Jagdpanther as he backs down the slope, but we're too slow. He manages to get away. For some reason, we have people capping the base, which is completely unnecessary. It looks like they're actually just moving through the base. And our whole team now is closing in for the kill to finish off this Tiger. And this is just a textbook example of victory on Partnerovka. You don't need to even commit that many forces to the capture area. You just need to make sure you have enough over there to hold them off and stop a capture attempt. And I firmly believe that if you put your main force down the road in a non-stupid manner, obviously you have to play intelligently over there, because it can be an awful kill zone. it's pretty easy to envelop the enemy team, especially with how often teams just rush the hill with their entire strength. Once you have the team completely surrounded, especially if they're all up on top of the hill, they have absolutely no chance of victory. And the enemy Tiger is dispatched, and victory is ours. So, we didn't actually do that much damage in that battle. Kind of surprising that we were able to get a Mastery Badge Ace Tanker, but we were. For our double, we only got 3144 experience, which is, well, I guess that's pretty good, but it's not, like, amazing. Usually Mastery Badge games, you need to get about a 2,000 experience game and then double it. So usually Ace Tanker games are, like, 35 to 4,000 experience doubled with a premium account. But apparently it was a slow week for Jagdpanthers. If we sort by damage, came in number 2 on our team. This AMX M4 was really putting the herd out with a 35-36. I managed 2488 and 2 kills. See Blackjack down here with 1500. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Looking at it experience-wise, we got 1048, which again, I'm surprised that that was Mastery Badge Ace Tanker, considering that the Jagdpanther, in my opinion, is an excellent, excellent tank. Very easy to do well in. Straightforward playstyle, powerful tank, powerful gun. Frankly, I'm amazed that 1048 on modified experience was all it took to get Ace Tanker. But, you know, again, you take the Ace Tankers when you can get them, and we don't complain too much. So you can see here we fired 19 shots, 14 hits. I did take some bad shots in that game, and I fired some shots at enemies that were about to die, and the enemy tank died as my shell was in flight. So those count as misses, even though at least 2 of them did hit the target. Of those 14 hits, we had 10 penetrations. I bounced a lot off the Black Prince when I was firing at him at extreme range, going for his small area on his turrets, on the front of his turret. Those were pretty dubious shots to take. Mostly I was firing them and hoping for luck, and, well, 4 of them didn't go in and 2 did, so we got a little bit of luck, but not really that much. 893 assistance damage. We're not really out for assistance damage in a Jagdpanther, so we don't expect to get very much there. And any we get, we'll gladly take it, but that's not our objective. The one thing that I kind of don't like about the Jagdpanther is ammo is pretty expensive, so it cost us almost 20 grand in resupply of ammo without firing any premium shells. So we only made a 21.6k profit, which is pretty slim. And if I was playing on a standard account, that would have only been 7,000 profit, which is pretty low. That's why, like I said in the garage, some people will choose to use the 88 on this tank, because you don't lose any pen, you lose some alpha damage. For some reason, you get a longer aiming time, which I think is pretty weird. But if I'd been driving a Jagdpanther with the 88mm L71, I probably would have fired, say, 25 shots, and my resupply of ammo would have been a lot less than 19,000 credits. So I would have made probably double the profit with a standard account. Anyway, though, let's take a look at our other game in the SU-122-44. Well, we are now in the SU-122-44. We played this game immediately after the Jagdpanther battle that you just looked at. Again, it's myself and Blackjack Pershing platooned up. Once again, he's in his T-25/2. Blackjack possesses the ability that I do not have to play the same tank over and over and over again in order to grind out the next thing. I definitely can't do that. Even in tanks that are really fun, I have a really hard time doing that. But he can do it, and he doesn't mind doing it, and that's good because the T-25-2 is a crappy tank, and it let him get through it pretty quick. Onto the T-28 prototype. So we're on the new map Northwest, which came out in the most recent expansion, or recent patch, I guess. I don't know if I would really call it an expansion. But Northwest is an interesting map, and I really think the way to control this map is to control the A1, A2 area. And since myself and Blackjack are both in fast tank destroyers, we're going to head up that way. The enemy team only really has 2 fast mediums. They've got a 3001D and a T20. And in a Tier 7 battle like this, the 3001D, well, it's not a bad Tier 6 tank. It is not especially potent. And, well, the T20 in a Tier 7 battle like this is actually a pretty good tank. A good driver and a T20 in a match like this can be lethal. But I really don't think that that single T-20 is going to be a match for my SU-122-44 and Blackjack's T-25-2 working together. So I'm not really all that worried about him. Now, even though I'm a quick tank destroyer and I want to get up to that A1, A2 area, there's just so many targets down here that I just felt like I had to stop and engage them. So I shoot at the enemy T-49, and he's incredibly lucky to survive my hit. I would one-hit kill him on something like 7 out of 10 shots. But in this case, I rolled low, and he actually survived with 3 health. Similar thing about this M5A1 Stewart. Probably, 7 out of 10 times I'll kill this guy in one hit. So I'm aiming at him. I just want to get him out of the way so he can't cause any problems. The M5 Stewart is a weak Tier 4 tank, but the M5A1 Chinese version actually mounts a pretty powerful little gun. So if I can discourage him from doing anything, I'll be pretty happy. Now at this point, the T-20 is spotted again, and I would really rather be shooting the T-20 than a Tier 5 light. But I have no shot on the T-20, and I have a shot on the SU-122-44. So again, I start looking, but we got nothing. In the end, we end up blasting the Stewart anyway. And this time, we rolled at least above his health, and we kill him. The enemy Jackson is spotted. Again, another very easy target for the 122-44. We put a big shot into him. 378 health gone. And our T1 Heavy finishes him off. So we're looking pretty good in the north so far. We've eliminated half the tanks we've spotted up here. They still have 2 of their Tier 7s up here, though, with at least 1 Tier 5 backing them up. That 122-44 is a dangerous tank. We'd like to get rid of him ASAP, but we just don't have any shots. Somebody's got shots on him, though, because his health is going down. And it's actually going down pretty quick. We look back north again, looking for the T-20. We really want to get him gone. He's a dangerous tank, but we just don't have any shots on him. Combination of the rock I'm behind and the rock he's behind, we're just not able to engage. So I decided to move forward a little bit to get a better angle on this T-20, but I just can't get my gun pointed at him. If he backs up right there, I'll be able to hit him, but he knows that kind of thing too, so he's not going to back up. Still waiting to see if I can get an opportunity on the T-20, but at this point in the time, I'm beginning to look at the map and sort of realize, the south could look better. The south ain't looking too good. I see the 3002D go down, and, I'm thinking the south is kind of in trouble here. Well, we just lost our T1 Heavy. We're down to just an IS guarding the south. And as I say that, the IS himself goes down. We're down to just a Comet guarding the south. Our Artie is asking for help. So I decide that I'm going to go down there and help. I drive off the cliff at an angle to try and keep from breaking my tracks, but I break them anyway. But I'm down. I'm inbound for the south, leaving the north in the capable hands of Blackjack, as well as most of our surviving teammates. So I have nothing backing me up in the south but a Comet, but I'm in one of the most powerful tanks in this match, so I feel confident that I can head down south and take out the enemy presence there. On the way south, though, I spot this, I don't actually spot him, but I encounter a pair of enemy flak buses, and those flak buses they're one of the ultimate glass cannon tanks in World of Tanks. They've got an incredibly powerful gun, low health, no armor, huge targets. Basically, I am not comfortable allowing those 2 tanks to be in my rear, and I decide that I need to finish them off first. And since I should be able to kill both of them with 1 shot apiece, I feel like I can do it quickly enough that it's worth it. So we've dispatched the first flak bus. We miss a shot at the second flak bus, but we reload quickly, and we take out the second flak bus. Unfortunately, he does put 1 shot straight through us. You can see he has a fully upgraded gun on that tank, which basically gives him the gun of a Tiger on a Tier 5 tank destroyer. That is a very powerful gun. not to be trifled with. The enemy AC-46 has just knocked out our Comet, which is too bad. So now it is down to me and a T-49. I decided to go for the AC-46 first, because he was a combination of the most dangerous gun on the easiest chassis to kill. So I put one shot into the AC-46 and kill him, but the T-29 hits me back for 300 damage. Using my speed and mobility, I relocate to a different location in order to engage the T-29. Now the T-29 is showing his back to my artillery and a T-49. I deflect the shot from the T-29, and I put a shell into his upper plate. Unfortunately, I leave him on 11 health. I did not get a very good damage roll. But, luckily for me, my T-49's got my back. He finishes off the Tiger. He finishes off the T-29. Props to him. The enemy T-29 goes down in classic sportsmanship style and tells the T-49, F you, GG, World of Camps prevails, says the Tiger. I beg to differ. I did kind of camp the north, but when the time came to relocate, I did not camp. I relocated south, and I attacked them in the flank. So, unfortunately for them, they're just retarded. The guy's kind of right, yeah, the Comet did camp, but in his situation, that was the absolute right thing to do. Now again, I drive over a cliff, trying to go at an angle so I won't break my track. I break it anyway. I encounter the enemy Hummel, have a giant lag spike, and am lucky that the Hummel did not kill me in that lag spike. When I turned left, and my reticle stayed facing straight ahead, that was when I was having the big lag spike. Unfortunately for me, that AT-8 was able to kill me. High penetration gun, very, very high rate of fire. So, unfortunately for me, he was able to pen my front, and then I gave him a side hit and he killed me. But, have no fear, the T-49 has arrived. The 3001D from up north is coming. Blackjack's moving in, probably a little later than he should, really. But he is moving in. And we also have a KV-3 closing with the enemy. Now, I apologize for my panning around the battlefield like this. I was trying to get onto the T-49, and it took me a little while. But we finally got him. Watching the T-49 battle the AT-8. It's an interesting battle. I think the T-49 should have just ran in behind the guy, but it doesn't matter, because as the T-49 distracts, the KV-3 drives in behind, blows off the guy's track, and then does the exact wrong thing. This KV-3 ought to be pressing himself right up against that AT-8's butt. Instead, he's backing off and moving around the side. Doesn't matter, though. The KV-3 reloads and puts a shell up the fart pipe of the AT-8, and as the guy's on like 72 health, Blackjack finishes him off. Victory is achieved. Alright, well, post-battle results for the SU-122-44. We managed to get Mastery Badge Ace Tanker, which was kind of surprising. We had a decent game, but it really wasn't anything special. Just like the Jagdpanther, we didn't really... we had a good game in both battles, but, kind of underwhelming for an Ace Tanker battle. Blackjack was pretty impressed with me because we played these battles back-to-back, and I got Mastery Badge Ace Tanker in back-to-back battles, and at the time, Blackjack only had the one Ace Tanker badge, so he was pretty impressed. But, I don't want to sound like rude or anything, but I was a little surprised. I played a decent game, and it was fun battles in both of them, and, good victories, but, it just wasn't the normal stuff that you get Ace Tanker on. I remember when I got Ace Tanker on my M26 Pershing, I was freaking out because I, clutch D-tracked a Jagdtiger where if I had not have managed the D-track shot, he would have killed me and just ripped my babies out of the future and murdered them and then, laughed at me and peed on my grave or whatever. But because I D-tracked the guy, I got the last laugh and I killed the crap right out of him. Stuff like that is what I associate with Mastery Badge games, and honestly, this was just kind of a run-of-the-mill game. I took the SU-122 out, covered the north, the south went tits up, moved down there, killed a couple of dudes, and oh, mastery badge. So yeah, it was kind of surprising. We still played all right. We got a pretty good litany of destruction. Quite a few credits, 76,381. And with our double, we got 3188 experience, which isn't bad. But if we look at the results here, sorting by damage, we didn't really have many people who did that much damage. The enemy team, the AC 48, or 46 rather, was the only guy that even came close to 2,000. And only two other guys on the team broke 1,000, which is not a good sign. On our team, our Artie had a pretty decent game, 1,500 damage in the Tier 6 French artillery. That's not too bad, especially on a map that's pretty new, where the Artie players haven't had like a really long time to figure everything out. This guy's had, at the time that this battle was played, that map had only been out for maybe like a week and a half. So, the guy probably only played one or two battles ever on that map. And, that might have been his first time in an Artie on that map ever. And he pulled in 3 kills and 1,500 damage. So, pretty good job. I mean, I had a pretty good game, 2,400 damage. But that's nothing to write home about. And you can see that I only got 1,063 experience unmodified, which is not that much. Usually, Ace Tanker, you need 1,500 or so. And, 1,063 is kind of underwhelming. Excuse me. We had some people in that match who played pretty well. Their like stats in the post battle results might not be that high, but they still played pretty well. Our Comet, he didn't really deal a lot of damage. He didn't get that much experience, but the delaying action he fought was crucial, and it lasted just long enough for me and the T-49 to get down there and kill those guys. So that Comet played a game-winning contribution to the game. That T-49, I probably could have killed the Tiger and the T-29 without my friendly T-49 helping out, but he did help out, and he definitely came in handy down there. He polished off the T-29, and he did something like 300 damage to the Tiger as the Tiger was trying to fight his way forward. Got himself 2 nice kills and 951 damage, which is not too bad for a T-49 in a battle with a bunch of Tier 7s in it. So, yeah, not too bad for him. Props to our team for holding the north and then sweeping through the south. That was good. It was a fun battle to play. I definitely enjoyed it. It may not have been the most amazing Mastery Badge game, but like I said with the Jagdpanther, when you get the Ace Tanker, you take what you can get. So I'm happy to have the Ace Tanker badge, even though I kind of was a little surprised that I got it on a match where I didn't really do like that much crazy stuff. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the double TD mastery. I definitely enjoyed playing these platoons with Blackjack. I definitely enjoyed both of these battles. I mean, I'm liking World of Tanks still. I've been playing it now for like 3 years, and sometimes I get pretty tired of it, but I definitely still really like this game and enjoy playing it. So I hope to see you guys later. Feel free to comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe, whatever. Let me know what you think. And until next time, guys, this is Captain Dorja. And just remember, you can never have enough big guns.